This is the Monday Munch I've been looking forward to. Hello. I don't know if everybody can hear me. But yeah, hello. Hi. We've been going through enough technical difficulties, but this is probably. I've been excited for this one since I started the whole brand. So we're doing our first official part one of the Kink Slayer Monday Munch sex education, blah blah, all those things. But before we get started, pop this up, get the format set. Okay, something like that. There you go. Play around. Okay. As always, smooth as fucking.
Are you ready? Can you feel that beat? Can you feel that move your feet? Feel the rhythm, new position, ain't no stressing, move with me. Put your hands on my body, we ain't gotta tell nobody. Keep on grooving with me, don't stop moving with me. Let me know if I'm moving too fast. Catch up with me, baby, don't pass. One more dance with ya, just one more dance with ya. Let this music move your soul, let your body lose control.
Hello. Okay. We just got it short. As always, nothing can be smooth here. So, hi. Hey, I'm Mr. If you don't know who I am, you should by now. Fueling up for the evening.
They might be a new person. How would they know who you are?
Well, they should know now.
You're not even sure who you are.
I'm not, but it works out anyway.
Mr. Likes fast. Meets trash.
That's right. So, tonight is all about the fundamentals, I guess you would say, of sex ed, puberty, anatomy, and reproduction. Is kind of how it all starts. But we're not doing the health class. And everybody say it with me: penis, 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 vagina,
Penis,
vagina,
penis.
vagina. Okay.
Vagina, vagina.
Did you ever watch that movie? Varsity Blues? Love that movie. Anyway, on with the fucking show, as always. So let's get on to the introduction to our naughty bits. So I'm excited. I'm having a good time. I'm having fun. And then after I present, Jen will be up to talk about the physical and emotional changes in puberty. And then after that, make sure I'm not fucking this up. It is the menstrual cycle. There are some other words before that I forgot what they were, so we're just going to go with that. But Ray will be up with the menstrual cycle. And then after that, we'll do some questions. We'll have Alice, if they want to come up, and if Dream shows up, all that stuff. And then we'll do our typical panel at the end. And we'll goof off and discuss things and have bullshit time, all those fun things. But I don't even think I need 5 whole minutes for an introduction. So wait, I do have a question. Can they see me?
Not right now.
No, this is what I'm saying. Does it go away? Hold on. See, I left time to fuck off for just a second because I know me. I have learned that having new things, and this will apply even in sex situations. Doing new things always give room for error and time for error. Can you quit touching buttons over there?
Me?
Yes.
I was trying to pull a chat up.
Okay, so we're going to mute this. I'll give me just 1 second. I got to see how this works. If I disappear, it shouldn't be much of a delay. Hi, Becca. I do see who that chat is. I see it on the live stream there. So I don't know what kind of a delay it is. It's bugging me. I don't know if they can see me or not, but if they can. Okay, they can still see me. All right, fuckers. Let's get started then. The introduction to our naughty bits. Oh, excuse me.
Ew.
I had some of that Florida air. Which, Ray, have you had your Florida air today in the back? Aw, I love you too. I just got the international symbol for I love you. Boobs. Absolutely boobs. I don't know where boobs are, but boobs. I don't know. So I'll see the private chat here. I'm not sure, so So that intro may or may not have had sound. We don't know. We figure all that shit out later.
Oh, that was supposed to be a song from our dearest friend.
It absolutely is, by the way. That song is not randomly chosen. The song is called Vibration, and the artist is called iMoney.
So look it up on Spotify right now
all
and
the
listen
things.
to it and pretend you heard it while our thing was playing
But
in the beginning.
But with
One day
that,
we'll do this all right and you don't have to pretend we're really
I'm
good
going to
at
find
it.
a way to mute Princess over here. But, yeah, okay. I don't even know what I was saying. Yeah, so smooth as fucking sand. Let's just get started. How about that? Let's start with the Garden of Eden. I love that. That's my favorite euphemism for a vagina. As you can see here, the core parts have internal, external, and then some behind the scenes things. With that, we start with the absolute outside, which is what most people incorrectly refer to as the vagina, which it is not. Which is half the reason I get pissed off, is because you can't get the basic anatomy right. So this is why we do stuff like this. So the vulva covers all the outer parts, which would be your labia majora, which, if you don't know what that is, that's your outer lips. So like your fat cat. I don't know how else to explain that. I didn't want to put up stupid illustrations because, who knows what's going to get flagged and what's not. But your outer lips, if you have a vagina, then you hopefully know what your outer lips are. Maybe, I don't know. Can I get a head nod in the background there from the do we have a general consensus that we know what outer lips means? Not these. Your labia minora. Now this is the one, so you'll hear it referred to as an innie or an outie. I've heard it both ways. Typically, your mainstream porn stars and stuff like that, those images are your innies. They don't have any excess skin, or also known as lips, that hang outside of the labia majora. And I can't find the next one. Oh, it's clitoris. Okay, I found it. Sorry. It does exist, fellas. It does definitely exist to all people of all sexes and genders. It's not impossible to find. The little man in the boat sits right up top. But that is my favorite fact about the clit, is it is the only organ of the human body that's made purely for pleasure. That's a fun fact. Lucky bastards. It is very important though. The clit is I'll say it's the most important part of the whole area. And anybody that disagrees with me is probably wrong. So that's a scientific opinionated fact. Well, we'll call that. That's what I always have. Scientific opinionated facts. So moving on. Trying not to, take it too serious tonight, and then you have your urethral opening. So what a lot of people don't know, and when I say a lot of people, I mean the boys. And when I say the boys, I mean like the me boys. There are two different holes. Girls or vaginas you don't pee out of your vagina. There's a separate hole, which I guess is kind of like in there a little bit. So maybe
Some girls don't know that either.
Well, okay, you're right. Absolutely. So some girls, yeah, I have met people that have had a vagina their entire life that don't know that. So that is disappointing to know. I don't know, I'm way more excited to hear you guys talk about your things. Like, y'all have the cool stuff. I've got so I sit through a class like this in 5th grade. Okay, they put that shitty little diagram up and was like penis, and one that said vagina, and they said if you have a vagina you go this way, if you have a penis you go this way. And then when we got in our class, they told us you're gonna start fucking stinking, take a shower, here's some deodorant. And I don't know what happened in the other class. So So the outside parts, there are mainly six general parts. I mean, the vaginal opening is considered an external part because it's in reference to the actual opening, not like the internals. As you'll see here, that the internal is. Excuse me. God, I'm so burpy. I'm so smooth tonight. Feel free to drop comments and stuff as we go. Oh, okay. We'll have to tidbit and let me know about that after, like when we get all this stuff done, because there'll be like something at the end, and we'll do some comments and stuff too. I don't know how I missed that one, but we'll figure that shit out in a second.
Mister's reading comments from backstage. Anybody who doesn't know?
Yeah, so if you don't know, now you know.
And you'll know later.
Okay. All right. So, what I will actually cover that one real quick. So, since that is absolutely a super important part of the next one, or not the next one, but the vagina. To anybody that has a vagina, hopefully you know that the inside of it is your vagina. That is the canal that connects from the vulva to the uterus. There's like it can be. Can we like get over the whole loose and tight thing being related to sexual partners and how many you've had?
Absolutely.
It's all about muscles and muscle control and all those fun things. What did I say? The uterus. I did say. You see, I love it. I'm about to just say, fuck it. We're gonna have a full panel because I know these things. I just don't say them the right way. Fuck it. Let's roll. You want to do it? Let's roll back to the munch.
It's completely up to you, dear.
Let's fucking roll with it. That's what we do best. Because that's what we do best. Fuck yeah. Let's do this.
Hello.
Hi, we're here. I'm glad we're here. Okay. Because I know quite a bit about the vaginal area. I just left some of it out. And to be honest, it's because I'm a shitty person and I procrastinate, and my slides got done in like an hour and a half before we started. So I have them in notes. I just don't have them on the slides, because
I am going to ask probing questions when we get to the point to prove that.
Absolutely, and that's part of the fun of it, is to be able to have these conversations. Oh, and by the way, I hope Day6 is listening, because I did learn that conversating is a fucking word. Did you know that? Why do I always get corrected? Day6, I hope you hear this. I miss you. So we've explored the vagina. There's parts in the vagina we'll get to later. Different spots, which is fun. There's a, I don't remember what it's short for, but like they call it the A spot, which is like almost the opposite end of the G spot, which does exist, as a matter of fact. Like I feel so bad because I have to tell like people in my real life that these things exist. You know, like it's not like some bullshit. Foreplay matters. You know, the G spot's real. The clit exists, and sometimes you can have an enlarged clit. You can have a clit that sticks out like a little penis, because as we can cover in another thing with babies and all that such, we all start out as would it be anatomically female or
Anatomically female, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we all start out as an asshole, which is my favorite part. I just never developed. Did you know?
No, give yourself some credit. You developed into a larger asshole.
Okay, I grew. I just didn't develop. I developed but didn't grow. Whatever you want to put. Probing is fun. Okay, now I can get out of the quiet private chat there. So I did turn off like the viewer thing tonight, which is nice because I don't know how many people are fucking watching. That's great. I I wanted that just because I don't have that expectation. None of us do. I don't know if you guys ever see it or not, but I've got flyers all over the fucking place for this. So we'll see. It's probably like just Rebecca still, and that's okay.
If anybody's here, say hello in the comments.
Absolutely, we always
This
love
is
her.
a learning experience for all of us, as I've said several times during Munch. This is what our Munch is about. Is us being able to grow and discuss these topics together.
Yeah. So if anybody wants to pass on the word to Dream that we're gonna just do the panel thing for tonight, please feel free. That's fine. It might be just Becca. That's okay.
I'll let him know.
So to the cervix, the official word. It's a longer word. Endocervical canal. Located on each end. If you don't know, the cervix is in the very back of the vagina. Typically, I think it can be like there can be mutations where it's misplaced.
Mm-hmm.
You can have more than one cervix. You can have more than one uterus. It's kind of all kind of fun things you can malfunction and do. Pretty neat. I had a stepsister that had two uteruses, and when she was pregnant, she had to be careful not to get pregnant again, which is crazy. See, that's where that counterbalances the clit. Pregnancy counterbalances the clit automatically.
Periods do.
Periods too.
That's why we get a fun button.
I wanna just real quick, Jen. I get periods. I don't have a clit. It sucks.
Oh, that's.
I am sorry.
Oh, that's fucking terrible.
It's awful.
So, all right. So the importance of the cervix is to one, when you do get pregnant, it plugs up and it stops. It helps you ladies. Well, we'll cover that later. The vagina bleeds and all those fun things expel, but that will be Ray's forte shortly. So we're not going to dive too deep into that. I'm more in the anatomy. We're just give you a layout of the land. So the cervix, you have your canal. The cervical OS is on both sides. The opening. I'm not sure if it's short for anything or if it's just OS.
It's os.
Os. Okay.
Internal and external cervical os are the openings and membranes between the ends of the cervix and like the vagina or the uterus.
Very nice.
Important to know that those are there and that they're stretchy membranes, because if you're too big and you have a partner, you can tear those.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not a great time.
Mm-hmm. You can bruise the fuck out of your cervix too.
Mm-hmm. Though that's usually a good time.
And it's a good time until later. It doesn't feel good later. It cannot feel good at the moment. It just depends, But
it depends on your personal preference.
Right.
There's no preference that's wrong. Just to be clear.
Exactly. But there are some things you may not enjoy if you have different preferences.
Right. So your external os is near the vagina, so it's closer to the opening, and then your internal is closer to your uterus.
So when you look at like a diagram or you picture the cervix, the os is the opening in the cervix. It's what seals up in a sense when women get pregnant.
Yeah, with the mucus plug and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Jen loves talking about babies and pregnancies.
Yucking.
That's next week. See, I keep wanting to talk about things. I'm like, nope, that's next week. Nope, that's next week. There's something I did see, something about cervical stenosis. A narrowing or occlusion of the internal cervical os. Os? Is it os you said, or os?
Os.
Os. But it says asymptomatic and can cause infertility.
Basically just means the internal one closes up.
Huh. Well, that's doesn't sound like a bad problem to have.
It can impede pregnancy because it can
Okay.
limit.
You just have a.
What was that, Ray?
it can interfere with getting pregnant because if the opening is too closed, the swimmers can't swim through it.
Right.
And it can also make periods fucking awful if they can't get it out.
Oh yeah. Okay, I got you. Yeah.
And thank you, love.
Hi, love.
Ray, the hair does look pretty fucking great. I might be a little biased with dark blue green hair, you know, but it looks pretty great.
It's a fade between green, blue, and black.
Ooh.
So we've made it through the cervix. We're in the uterus. So that is where the worst part of having a vagina or a uterus is. So every month, as you'll learn later, the lining is shed. Does not sound fun. It doesn't sound fun if that makes any of y'all feel better.
Basically, like once a month, the uterus gets pissed off because it doesn't have a baby that it wants. So it throws a temper tantrum, rips down all the walls, and shoves itself out.
That does not sound fun.
Accurate.
So we've made it to the uterus, and now we're going to go into the fallopian tubes, which I did learn is only about 4 inches or so.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's not like long. Like the images and graphs you see, like they make them look like super long.
Like big old fucking noodles.
Right, but they're not. They're like this long, like that.
A
Hello,
lot
princess.
of diagrams. A lot of diagrams are not proportionally correct.
You know, a lot of diagrams don't even have like the cervix as a canal with different parts. They just have, oh, here's a line of muscle, and that's
Right.
that.
Yeah. I'll describe the best way I've seen it, like in most of these drawings and stuff. It almost looks like just like the end of a hot dog with a hole in it. And that's like how all of them are depicted.
Yeah.
So,
In all fairness, a lot of diagrams are drawn not proportionally correct, so it's easier to see the information that's on them.
okay. I mean, that makes sense too. You want them to, you want to be able to see the important parts. And since I do have presuming on my end, the two commenters there are vagina having people, so feel free to chime in and correct. Interesting. And then we move on to the fimbriae, which is kind of wild because like it's like little. I think of anemones in the sea, like little phalanges that help move. Like we're kind of going backwards, but we're working our way through. I don't have these lined up at all for some reason. I don't even have fucking ovaries on here. See, those don't exist either.
I wish.
Right. So your ovary puts out eggs. If you don't know, your ovaries have a limited number of eggs. And no one knows. Like, there's no set number. It's not like you're born with like 16,000 and that's it. Every person is different. Some are born with very few. Some are born with some and can still get knocked up when they're in their 80s. So that's a fun little fact that we all start off as a little microscopic little thing. The egg is the only cell that's visible, like, to the naked eye, if I'm not mistaken. It's the only technical cell of the human body that's visible to the naked eye. If you were to see it, you could see it without a microscope.
That's interesting. Is that
Because you can't see, like, sperm cells are too small.
right?
Blood cells are too small. But an egg is just big enough to be visible. Someone fact check that, please.
Okay.
I actively am.
So like,
I figured you were.
The
I
human
like-
ovum measures approximately looks like 120 picometers in diameter. which is 0.0047 inches. It's just big enough for our eyes to be able to see it.
It's like a grain of sand almost.
Thereabouts, yeah.
That's crazy.
So when do I lay these eggs?
Once a month. We'll discuss ovulation and all those fun things shortly too. So let's keep on rolling through the uterine lining. We talked about that a minute ago. Endometrium. So endometriosis is when your uterus is inflamed. Am I wrong? Right? Is that correct?
It's when the endometrium is inflamed.
Exactly.
That is a separate organ structure that is inside the uterus rather than being part of the uterus.
Right. That's
Correct.
what's actually shed off in the period. That's why some periods are so painful.
Yes.
Because I couldn't imagine.
That it can be inflamed. In some people, like pieces of it actually tear and cause scar tissue on the actual uterus, and the scar tissue can even build up outside of the uterus.
Interesting. See that's not a good time though. Like, and there's not much that can be done, right?
Not a whole lot. I have
Outside of-
pretty severe endometriosis.
So outside of like a hysterectomy, there's not much that can be done.
Not really. Sometimes some hormonal therapies will help slow progression, but it's just kind of one of those, well, fuck. type
And
of things.
I'll research it a little bit next week. For next week at least, I know that some birth controls can help with it, like you said, because of the hormones. But
They can help slow the progression, but they will not help any scar tissue that's already there heal, and it won't make it go away completely. It can make the symptoms go away.
Ouch.
Your best bet to minimize or get rid of symptoms would be a full-on hysterectomy.
Yes, which I have been fighting for years.
That I don't know. That just does not sound like a. I've known a few women that have it, like from personal relationships, and it's awful. I almost would bet that you have to deal with that because I don't think I could survive a period. I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna word it the way I'm gonna word it. I am man enough to admit I could not survive a period. I'm not that tough.
There are these like electronical stim pads that you can get with controllers that emulate period pains, and I would be very amused to see you try to do anything with them active.
Oh man, I'm down to try one day.
Oh, that would be great.
I've watched videos of like men trying those, and it's like they're like, "Fuck that," and then they try the pregnancy ones, which is even more intense, and it's like, "Fuck that, I'm good." So my two favorite parts of the whole behind-the-scenes section is the Bartholin's gland and the Skene's gland.
Hey.
So if you've got that WAP, you probably have an overactive. One of these is overactive, which is not a bad thing. Somebody let Ben Shapiro know that's not bad. But the Bartholin's gland is near the opening, and that's what causes lubrication. So when you start to get a little wet, that gland's getting active. We'll get in later in this slide series that kind of is a process in the body's response to sex. And the Skene's gland is located on the inside of the vaginal wall and is often, or they haven't done enough research on it yet. So when it comes to like squirting, that is potentially one of the contributing parts of the body. Go ahead.
So the Skene's glands are functionally analogous to the seminal vesicles in male anatomy, and that is like actually where that comes from. Most of the time, it comes from either overactive Skene's glands or extensively stimulated Skene's glands.
Right. And a lot of people think it does have components of urine, but that's why a lot of people think it's pee, because like it can.
So does semen. I mean,
Right, you know what I'm saying? So like it's pieces of it. It's kind of like the whole argument that Adderall is almost meth. There's enough components that are different that makes it not.
yeah.
All right, so yeah. So do you guys like my little abstract diagram here? This is a penis. The whole thing about the penis is fairly cut and dry. It's a penis. It serves two purposes for urination and sexual reproduction. I can't think of any other purposes it may have.
Helicopter?
It does helicopter. That is correct. It is an accessory, a fashion accessory. Then you have the scrotum, which is what actually holds the balls, the testicles, the testes. And then once you move inside of there, then you get into the testes, which is where all the stuff is produced. And I'm pretty sure, I think it was 600 feet, but the vesicles inside of there can be up to 600 feet. That's a lot of tubage. To put it in perspective, a football field is 300 feet. So you have enough tubes in there, which does not sound physically possible, but people way smarter than me that have studied that know this.
They're extremely thin. So it's like 600 feet of like the finest thread you've ever seen.
Oh, okay. I can see that. And oh god, epididymis. I can never get that one right.
Epididymis, yeah.
Okay. So that's the tube structure where the sperm matures and becomes like stored.
Mm-hmm.
Contrary to popular belief, you don't store pee in your balls.
The epididymis can also form cysts in the same way that a woman's ovaries can, and it is a bitch.
Ooh, that does not sound fun. So yeah.
There are 3 different structures inside the epididymis, and each one of them can have its own cysts.
That's terrible.
Mm-hmm.
I'm tired of learning about sex ed now.
At the risk of oversharing, I have one on the epididymal head on the left one, and it's been a bitch consistently for like a year and a half at this point.
That I feel for you. I really do.
It's going to get cut off eventually, so it's fine.
Right. So eventually you get your revenge. But the vas deferens, like this is the part that gets snipped when there's a vasectomy, which is, despite what people think, it's a pretty permanent procedure. It can undo itself, but to have the operation reversed is a lot more invasive and a lot more complicated than to just have it snipped off and clamped.
True.
So, and it's not in this exact part, but if you have a vasectomy, make sure you clean the pipes enough, and then get your checkup done to make sure your sperm count is gone before you just start, fulfilling cream pie fantasies. Because you will still end up with a child. Possibly.
If proper follow-up is not done, it is still entirely possible to fully bake the cream pies.
It's the best. I love it. We kind of talked about the seminiferous tubules. That's what we were talking about a second ago, right? I mean, that's another section of it. Seminal vesicles, that's the fluid. So that's what kind of helps things get flowing. It builds that structure of what all is in your semen. I don't think I skipped over the prostate gland because that's like, to me, that's not in that part yet. Like that's more towards the back.
I will challenge you on that one.
It's a little more. It's a little further back. Like we're getting there. I'm just still like in the testicles. and I know it's not in there. I've looked for it; it's not there. So, if you have a penis, you can get wet in the same way that a vagina can. When you get turned on, you get excited. You start to feel all that stuff your body's supposed to do when you get turned on. You can have an excess from the Cooper's gland, not the Cowper's gland. Fun fact. I said that wrong for a long time.
Well, to be fair, it's spelled Cowpers.
Right. I was yeah. But that gets overactive, kind of like the Skene's gland does, and the Bartholin gland gets overactive and makes things wetter. You can't have an excess of call it what it is, pre-ejaculate fluid. Pre-cum is what everybody knows it as, and that's a good time. The ejaculatory ducts are where the seminal vesicles and the vas deferens join. So this is where things kind of make their way out. And the urethra is the exit port, where urine and semen can pass through, and blood if you're hurt. One rare deformity that people can have when they're born is called hypospadias. It's a neat one. It lets me do my fun party tricks. It's where your urethra comes out the bottom instead of the end like it's supposed to. And yes, Lav, the prostate is stored in the balls.
Please. No.
No, dear God, it's not. It's okay. But yeah, that hypospadias thing was it made for fun stories because I still have a scar around the head, so I can always tell people that I had some taken off, and I've got the scar to prove it. But that it's kind of rare. Just a second. 1 in every 200 babies is born with it, so it's not terrible. I mean, you know, the first surgery I couldn't walk for like a year.
Also, bad.
I have a fistula there that happens rarely, and now I can pee out of 2 holes. It's kind of fun. That's my party trick.
It took me a minute to process the not walking for a year thing. You butthead.
I had 3 total surgeries. They tried to fix it when I was first born. They tried again when I was 3. They went through different development stages because they knew that it would retract more. So, you know, that immediately after I was born, so they could get things kind of lined up. And when I was 3, I'd grown a little bit and started to get things in line where they were supposed to be. And then, you know, when I was 11, like as I was in the peak of that puberty stage, I had to have it again. I remember that one, and that was the worst. Like I had to pee like so much before I could leave, and I could not. Like I wanted to cry every time. It was rough. You ever got a paper cut and spilled vinegar on your lemon juice? You know, imagine that around your pecker. Good times. But makes for good stories now. And
Before
finally,
we move off of this slide.
What is it?
Before we move off of this slide,
I
want to mention another part that's actually part of the penile structure is the suspensory ligament.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone who has a penis that can get erect will be able to follow a ligament across the top of it from their pelvis to the head. And that is more or less the only part of your body that actually determines what your penis shape looks like.
So whether it's curved,
whether it's straight, how flexible it is during. And that is a muscle that can be worked out, stretched, extended in all the ways that you could work on flexibility in other muscles.
So internal yoga, I got you. So while it's in there, start doing stretches.
Or, you know, in theory, find someone who's able and willing and just shove it at an angle that it bends.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You know, you just like do some yoga while you're up in there. And finally, the prostate gland. If you are of Christian belief and the way that gays are born to die and go to hell and all that stuff, that's God's cruelest joke. Is to put the male G spot in his butthole.
All right, Mister, I gotta correct you real quick.
Please do.
Straight fucking men can enjoy prostate stimulation too.
No, absolutely. That wasn't what I was saying. I didn't mean that at all. I was just saying, with that super Christian belief of, putting stuff in your butt means you're going to hell. God said, I'm going to put the magic button in there and we're going to leave it there. There's nothing you can do about it. But absolutely, straight men can and should enjoy prostate play. You guys remember, was American Pie? Milking the prostate?
Mm-hmm.
Was that American Pie? I'm pretty sure
Maybe,
American Pie 2.
probably.
I don't know. Yeah, it was, because Stifler loved that shit. That's all he wanted. Either way, such a fun series. But the prostate gland is very interesting because you can tell, you can find symptoms when something's wrong without having to actually go to a doctor. You would need to go to a doctor and get checked out again, but it can cause a lack of control of your bladder, sexual dysfunction, like so many things can happen to it that it gives you some clues like, hey, something's wrong here. Oh, and before we move off of the anatomy part here, testicular torsion is like the devil. I've never experienced it. I don't know anybody that has, but I've read about it. It's where your ball gets twisted.
Mm-hmm.
And you can lose that testicle if you don't act quick enough. But either way, it requires surgery to fix. Not a good time.
There's also a couple more anatomical pieces I want to mention before we
Go
move
for
off.
it. Yeah, absolutely.
In the actual shaft around your urethra, you have, I get the names pulled up here, the corpus spongiosum, which is like the spongy structure, but it's a smaller structure specifically designed to protect the urethra from the rest of the corpus, which is the corpus cavernosa, which is the part that fills with blood and makes things hard.
Absolutely.
So you have two of those and one of the corpus spongiosum in your shaft. And the spongiosum specifically protects the tube that everything comes out, and then the rest makes you hard. And those can break. When they're filled with blood, all of those can break.
Mm-hmm.
And it's fucking awful.
I've known a friend of mine to break his dick, and it was not a good time.
They can also bruise and tear without fully breaking.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't want any of that to happen.
Mm-mm. I still remember that. I didn't hear from him for a day or two, and then I called him. I was like, "Hey, you good?" He's like, "Yep, just been laying in bed." And I'm like, "What happened? Are you okay?" He's like, "I tore my dick." She was on top. She came up a little too high, so things shifted just right to that pelvic bone, and just some things don't bend 90 degrees.
Oh,
That's the reaction I had too. That sounded just like that. So I did want to cover this one, which gets overlooked a lot in sex ed. Intersex people. So that's when people are born with either reproductive or sexual anatomy that differs from the typical definition of male or female. We discussed this on a Munch one day where they have like a measuring tool to where they determine the sex of the child, if they're going to be a male or female and all that stuff. It's really kind of fucked up. Just, of course, my opinion there.
crap. What is that little tool called? And it's very...
The pecker poker, you just like...
Anyways, carry on with your little presentation.
Gotcha. Let's see. The fallometer.
Yeah.
It is a legitimate tool that I'm pretty certain is still in use today. So It's okay. So it's a measurement of it's like a 3 1/4 inch ruler, and anything above 1 inch they classify as it's a boy. Anything between half looks like maybe 3/8 of an inch to an inch is unacceptable to have surgery on. Either way, has to develop naturally to find out which way it leans. And then anything under that 3/8 inch is a girl. Go ahead.
That unacceptable range isn't unacceptable to have surgery on. It's unacceptable surgery is required.
Oh, wow. Okay, thank you for clearing that up. Because the little thing I have there, it looked like it's meaning like, yeah, we're not going to do surgery. We're going to let this shit ride it out and figure out how it works.
That's what should happen. That's the ethical thing to do, rather than trying to predetermine a child's gender and force surgery to affirm that.
Look at me choosing the ethical way for once. On accident, even better. So 1.7% of the population is estimated to have intersex traits. That would be over 130 million people worldwide. I don't know how accurate that number is anymore. I mean, I know the 1.7 is roughly, they say it's anywhere between 1.5 and 2%. So a lot of people. And I didn't want to do a slide on all of the different diagnosable intersex variations, but there are over 40 of them. Is it Klinefelter? That's the XYY or XXY? It's one of the two.
I think it's XXY.
Yeah, so that's like so a lot of it comes down to either you could have a micro penis, you could have the androgen insensitivity. So now how would that one be explained? I never looked that one up. Like I said, I had my notes, I just never got them laid out.
Androgen insensitivity.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a less than expected reaction to your androgen hormones, your testosterone, the masculinizing effects of like high levels of endocrine or high levels of epinephrine in your body. When those levels are higher, how your body responds to cortisol also changes. And none of those are happening if you have androgen insensitivity. A lot of the time, androgen insensitivity will come with higher than should be expected or higher than healthy levels of testosterone as your body's trying to trigger that reaction.
Huh. That's interesting. Because at first it sounded like I was picturing in my head like a physically non-binary person. You know, not necessarily identifying as non-binary, but appearing completely non-binary. If that makes sense. I'm not sure if that's how that works, but that's just what I pictured in my head for just a minute.
Not really. Most people who should have androgen sensitivity and would be expected to present or identify as masculine still look masculine and still have that insensitivity. It usually ends up causing some organ issues, like some kidney and liver issues, because your body has too much testosterone that it has to work through.
Huh. Interesting. It can cause atypical chromosomes, atypical gonads, genitals, hormones, and more. They don't fit like in the binary category of either leaning, male or female presenting. There was I think it's Come As You Are. The author of that book is intersex. It's kind of neat. I'm pretty sure it's Come As You Are. It's one of the sex books I've read. But either way, Come As You Are is a good book too. Intersex people often face issues like unwanted surgery as infants, a stigma of looking or appearing one way, high rates of assault, and mental illness, which is kind of interesting. I imagine the external factors hurt more than the internal when it comes to the mental illnesses and the stuff like that. I like this quote. I don't know where I found it. It was in my notes somewhere. It may not even be a real quote. It just sounded cool where I found it. So somebody said it somewhere on the internet, I guess. But it says to be intersex means to, if nobody claims it, it's mine. To be Intersex means to live on the edge of everything: man, woman, legal, illegal, real and unreal, accepted and unacceptable. There's an extra word in there that shouldn't be. But yeah, wrong button.
Oh, mister.
I know, right? I'm so good at this. All right, so now we're into the body process of preparing for sex. What my typos? So this is kind of like it's a simplified version of what happens to your body. Your brain gets the signals for erotic thoughts, sights, smells, touches, fantasies, all that stuff to make everything else get in line. We've got a job to do, kind of thing. And it turns on the machine, and then the blood goes where it needs to go. Your breathing changes. Like, you're not going to start hyperventilating, hopefully, because I think that might kill the mood. But maybe, I don't know.
It
Maybe.
depends on the people.
Right? Maybe. But you're gonna breathe a little bit heavier, a little bit faster, which also comes with your body flushing with the blood and all that stuff. It almost acts like a simple exercise. So your body's trying to ramp up its blood flow and all that stuff. The nipples becoming erect thing, I wasn't quite sure about, because like not everybody experiences that. I just know that the smooth muscles are what help everything get a little harder there. I'm not certain for like myself, when I get turned on, my nipples don't get hard. But I know like a lot of women I've been with, when they get turned on, the nipples get hard.
It usually looks different in I'm going to say testosterone dominated bodies. It's less that same hard that women get, and more smaller and like drawn into themselves.
Okay.
Like their surface area gets smaller and they get tighter rather than harder.
Right. My nipples are useless, so I don't like them. I don't look at them. I don't even know what they look like most of the days. So then your lubrication increases, your glands start to secrete and do all the things, and this is when you start getting wet in that form. Plasma, we forgot plasma. We didn't talk much about that in the glands thing, but there is some plasma down there. It's a good time. Can you donate that plasma?
No.
Oh, fuck. Okay. I mean, I had a thought for a second. I was like, much more fun plasma donation. But no, that's simply to help reduce, friction. You don't want to go in dry. If you don't naturally have lubrication, use lube.
It's about to chime in with that.
Yep. We got silicone based, you got water based, you got spit if you're in a rut. Like there's all kind of things that you can use. But try like the actual the actual lubricants first before the spit thing. That only worked in like Brokeback Mountain, which is a great movie, by the way. And I thought about a reboot for it. We'll discuss later. What? I'm getting that look for you. I love it. I know. I say stupid shit when I get that look from you.
Yeah,
because you hear
say
this stuff all
such
day.
Stupid shit.
And then you have muscle tension. A fun trick that I learned back in my teenage days. If you're getting an unwanted erection, you can tighten your legs, like your thighs, and it'll help divert that blood flow, and it'll help not deal with that. Go for it, Alice.
Not if you're a bottom.
Well, fuck. There's always exceptions to the rules.
Always exceptions to the rules. That is peak bottom behavior, and it does not remove blood from the area.
That's interesting, though, because I know it helps. It almost rediverts the blood, but I guess if you've conditioned yourself in that way, I guess it would absolutely have the adverse effect.
Or been conditioned by someone else, for what it's worth.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The involuntary contraction of the muscles, like the sphincter, increase tension throughout the body. you start getting the little brown eye wink. Let's see. See, I didn't leave that stuff out. I knew I didn't leave it out. We just hadn't got there yet. You were saying those words, and I was like, I had this. I knew they were there. What?
Carry on. I'm
Carry on.
listening.
Oh, so vasocongestion. Erections occur during vasocongestion. Is it vaso or vaso, or does it matter? I don't think it matters. The engorgement of the erectile tissues with blood, arteries widen and smooth muscles relax, allow rapid blood flow into the penis. The corpora cavernosa. So this is essentially a natural cock ring. It's one way to think of it. It helps trap the blood flow to keep things stiffened up and good to go. Gotcha, we are. And then the parasympathetic nervous words. See, I put too much sciencey stuff in here, and it throws me off. Erections are triggered by parasympathetic nervous system activation, which initiates vasodilation and smooth muscle relaxation in the penis. Neural signals result in sexual stimuli. Ta-da! That's how erections happen. I'm ready for all this. I just went out of order. So I'm way over my time though.
You're way over your time.
I'm way over my time. All right, let's bust through this shit. Okay. So blood flows to the pelvic area, causes lubricated plasma to seep into the engorged vaginal blood vessels, which causes the Bartholin's gland, located near the vaginal opening, to secrete mucus to provide thicker, more substantial lubrication. The Skene's gland starts to secrete near the lower end of the urethra, produced by the thinner, slipperier fluid that adds to the lubrication mixture. And that's why it catches, so the squirting thing, that's why it catches the stuff that has the makeup of urine, is because it's right there so close to the urethra. High arousal leads to increased production of the cervical mucus, which helps retain moisture in the vagina and reduce friction. Extra moisture comes from sweat glands and seepage from the vaginal wall tissues. Like, it's all shit works down there together. And then the end. The big ovation. The standing ovation. I was gonna put like the laying ovation, but it just didn't sound as good.
It's okay that you're running over. I'm gonna do mine tomorrow or something.
Are there any questions?
You didn't
missed the
do
slide.
anything on that slide.
You missed
Read
the
the
slide.
title and
Like,
moved on.
take your time with the big ovation, please, mister.
I'll always take my time with that.
Thank you. Take your time. And then we'll have Ray
Yeah,
go,
I think Ray's is
and then
pretty fucking important. You'll have time.
I would like to have the opportunity to just fix my slides because they were not proper. I
Either
put a
way.
lot of work into them.
And they're set up. They're ready to go. All right, so ejaculation represents the crescendo of the male arousal as semen propulsion smacks the height of sexual pleasure. As the moment nears, the prostate seminal vesicles load the urethral bulb. Did you know that semen can and often does come out at around 28 miles per hour?
Mhm.
That's why it's illegal in the school zone.
Good God. Mister.
I'm not wrong.
Oh.
What you got, Alice?
There's smacks the heights of sexual pleasure is a little prescriptive for a lot of penis havers. The time after ejaculation is the heightened the ride back down, in the way that vagina havers usually tend to enjoy the ride down just as much as hitting the O.
Oh yeah. See, I like the ascension. I've always felt like that was more my personal, like it's the way up for me. And then after it's done, I'm like, yeah, whatever. Okay. Let's carry on, watch TV, eat snacks, take a shower, whatever we got to do.
Yeah, but even before HRT, I could go like 5 or 6 times back to back to back. So like, there was no one that was like bam and everything's over.
Fucking lucky. I'm good. Like that's it. You got yours a few times. I got mine. Yeah. Like playing soccer, 3-1. So while uncommon, so there's actually a statistic out that is a factual statistic, but it's so widely used, like it makes no fucking sense. So the statistics say between 10% and 69% of women experience squirting. So between 10% and 69%, and that's a consistent scale. I have seen it say 27% to like 69%, somewhere in there, but you know, that's such a wide range. And I wonder if they're taking into the fact that some actually just pee, because some do. Some think that they're squirting when they pee, like, or they pee when they squirt, whatever.
It's also a matter of a lot of vagina-owning humans it's not accurately reported. A lot are embarrassed and report inaccurately in either direction.
Right. I could see that too.
I don't have a way to provide anything more concrete than like the studies statistics, but every single vagina having partner I've ever had has been able to. Right.
I've never had that issue either. It seems to be a common thing, you know, like it's, I don't know, there's all kind of stats that I hear. I'm just like, but all of mine have.
There are also a lot that can at some points in their lives and not in others. It's the human body is a fascinating thing that all kinds of things can go different directions with.
That helps if you hydrate.
Mm-hmm.
You should be hydrating anyway. If you're going to do sex, hydrate.
That's right.
If you're going to do sex,
Hydrate or die straight, okay?
Oh, I love that one too. Damn it. I drink some fucking
Oh,
water.
God. I love it. So one thing I did find, so the leading theories, like I did my research. I've done my research on this for more than this, but the actual scientific theory is that the Skene's gland being connected to the urethra is what makes it shoot out. You have a propulsion behind it for that reason. Whereas some don't. Some that have that overactive Skene's gland, it just kind of oozes out. But it's a lot. It's a lot. It's nice.
Oh my gosh.
Gushers. I loved Gushers as a kid. I still love Gushers. See, it works. Just a different kind.
This is not fair.
So some have claimed it's an anatomical identity, similar erectile tissues as the penis, the glands, analogs to the prostate, but skeptics remain. Its proportions, nerve supply. What the fuck did I write there? I missed like half of that. Like, there's more to that sentence. I don't know where the fuck it's at, so we're gonna skip that part. You want to read it? It doesn't make sense to me.
No, I don't want to read it.
Can anybody decipher that?
Nope.
I can't even see it.
I'm just gonna say, do better, mister.
All right, so it says some have claimed its anatomical identity, similar erectile tissues as the penis, glands, analogous to the prostate. I think I'm talking about the Skene's gland still. But skeptics remain. Its proportions, nerve supply, exact location still challenge cartographers in uncharted terrains of desire. Oh, nope, that's the G spot. I remember writing that now. Like, it's elusive. I don't know why it's so elusive. Like, people act like it doesn't exist.
All right. It's not elusive. You know how you find it?
You go in and come here.
Literally the come hither gesture. There's like a ridged, spongy section there.
You can feel
you start touching it and it like fills and like erects. Right.
And that's the thing people don't understand. You can feel the difference in the tissue.
Exactly. if your member or your fingers are long enough to do so, the A spot does the same thing.
Absolutely. It's way back there.
It depends on the partner. Some people have a very shallow cervix.
True. But that's why they say like so double penetration is more pleasurable for that reason, because you're able to easily stimulate that area from all the angles. Are there any questions? I think we've answered all the questions.
Well, you've answered the questions of the people on the panel.
Yeah.
The
so,
people watching might have questions.
do the people watching have questions?
Yes, Lav, you do.
Are you ready, Ray?
Oh, sure, yeah.
Are you?
Yeah,
'Cause,
go for
like
it.
this is out of my element. Let's get you to the beginning. There we go. Way out of my element. Just like you got this. I do have them in the right order though. So.
I don't know. I can't see the top of it, so cool.
Hey, do you want us to come off of the screen so you can be? It'll be bigger for you.
No.
Okay.
I'm good. Fuck. I had this practice, and now I'm on the spot, and now I'm awkward. So jump in and save me,
So
anyone.
the menstrual phase is the first phase, right?
Yeah, that. Thanks.
So that's like day one.
Yes, the menstrual phase. It starts when you start your period. It marks the beginning of the cycle. I can't read that.
So it happens because
It happens because your uterus is pissed off. No.
pretty much. I mean, pretty much the egg from the previous cycle is still there.
The egg from the previous cycle is still there, and the body doesn't need that lining anymore because there's no pregnancy for it to support. So it gets rid of it.
And next you've got where it talks about the levels of hormones, estrogen and proestrogen dropping.
Yeah, I can't.
Estrogen and progesterone.
Yeah.
Mister, I've said that word enough times in front of you. I will fight you.
I don't even know what I said.
Proestrogen or
Sure.
progesterone?
Sure.
Ray, would you like me to help you with reading these?
I
Please.
was gonna say, like, I can't read it from here. I did take my glasses off.
That might have something to do with it.
It's really small.
It is.
I'm
you
on a
wanna-
computer screen and it's not small to me, so I'll read them for you.
Thank you.
Levels of the hormones estrogen and progesterone drop, telling the body that the lining of the uterus isn't needed. The uterine lining is then shed and exits the body through the vagina. This is where the blood and tissue of a period comes from.
Luck. It
Thank you.
sucks.
And estrogen and progesterone are the two hormones I take to feminize through HRT, which means I'm constantly at the high end of a cycle. And then once a month, they just drop.
Ugh.
That has to be hell.
Yeah, it's awful. And then it gets real hard to think when you get turned on.
So, yes.
The follicular phase.
The follicular phase.
Say that 3 times fast.
Go ahead, Alice. Thank you. I'll jump in and explain in between, but if you don't mind.
Sure. The follicular phase. This is the longest phase of the cycle, lasting from 14 to 21 days. It lasts from menstruating to ovulation. During this phase, the fluid-filled sacs in the ovaries house immature eggs. The pituitary gland releases follicle-stimulating hormone, causing the follicles to produce estradiol. These hormones become the biggest and healthiest egg, or cause the biggest and healthiest egg to become fully mature and ready to be released. The end of this phase is particularly fertile, meaning pregnancy is likely to occur with intercourse.
So, real quick side note, because this is Munch and we do that. When I was trying to make that slide, my phone kept auto-correcting pregnancy to Pensacola. So if you have sex when you're fertile, Pensacola occurs.
So essentially, so your ovaries choose the egg. It's like, okay, this one appears to be the best one that needs to go.
The hormone receptive structures choose the egg inside the
Yes.
ovaries.
They choose the egg based on the biggest and healthiest one, so the one that is most likely to develop into the healthiest pregnancy.
I am not a Brody chicken, and I will poop all my eggs out and let you eat them if you want. That sounded way grosser than what it is. I was talking about chickens. And me being a chicken. I'm so sorry, y'all.
So now this is like when you're most likely to get pregnant.
The last few days of the follicular cycle up to ovulation, and then the 3 days post ovulation are when you're the most fertile.
Okay. Cool. And we've reached the ovulation phase.
The ovulation phase, before I start reading, is where my hormone balance normally just stays the whole time.
Oh, fuck.
It's fucking awful. The ovulation phase, this is the shortest phase, lasting 12 to 24 hours and occurs at the midpoint of the cycle. Increased estradiol levels causes the pituitary gland to release luteinizing hormone, which helps the egg mature. Once the egg is matured, LH triggers the follicle to rupture. This releases the egg into the fallopian tubes. The fallopian tubes are where the egg can be fertilized, leading to pregnancy. While ovulation only lasts 12 to 24 hours, pregnancy is most likely to occur in the 3 days before or after. And like specifically calling out estradiol there, that's the estrogen hormone that I take, which is why I'm constantly in this cycle.
Huh. So the egg is held until it's matured,
Yes.
and then the follicles just like
Splits open. It
It
literally
splits
just
open.
pop.
Yep. It goes pop, and that pop is what allows for the small amount of propulsion necessary to get the egg to the fallopian tubes.
And then at the end of the fallopian tubes, the little fibriae or whatever those were called,
Yeah.
grab and move it down.
Yep.
So if that pop isn't enough, that's usually why you have ectopic pregnancies, right?
That can be one reason.
Okay.
If it
Yes,
doesn't,
it can.
if it doesn't move enough to get into the tube. Sorry, Ray, this is supposed to be your part to answer.
No, go ahead. Go ahead. It's fine.
So I don't know if you know, Ray. Time for questions after. I'm taking notes.
You can ask a question.
Is there a reason that 3-day cycle is there, like the 3 days before and after?
It has to do with where the egg is in the body. Go ahead.
Oh,
Like by like reproductively speaking, so that you're horny in the point of you're the most fertile and can carry a child.
like anatomically speaking, it just depends on like how fast it's moved.
It depends on how your hormones are changing throughout the rest of the cycle.
Yes. When your hormones are at that peak level, the environment in your body is actually is also more compatible with sperm, so it doesn't kill them off as quickly, allowing for them to get where they need to go easier.
Huh. I'm pretty sure your body would kill off sperm, like just before they even got out. Like it's
Not gonna risk it and find out.
Are we ready for the next?
Yes.
We have our luteal phase. This phase lasts an average of 12 to 14 days from ovulation to the beginning of your period. The follicle that ruptures during ovulation develops into the corpus luteum. The CL releases progesterone and estrogen, causing the uterine lining to thicken in preparation for pregnancy. Peak levels of progesterone and estrogen are reached mid-phase. Once the CL dies, if no pregnancy occurs, P and E levels start to drop. This triggers the body to restart the cycle.
Oh, okay. So your period essentially is only because those hormones drop.
Yes.
Mhm.
If a pregnancy occurs, different hormones take over, and that's a whole nother process. But if there is no pregnancy, the levels basically dump.
Okay. So I've always like, I mean, I could have always Googled it, I guess, but I've never really had like a full explanation of how this shit works. I
So
just know it works.
Your estrogen, your serum estradiol, which is the estradiol in your blood, and progesterone kind of do like, if you were looking at the chart, it would be one big hill and then a little bounce throughout the cycle.
Okay.
Yes.
At the point that you are like ovulating, your body wants to be pregnant. That's where you're at the top of the big hill, and then you
Yes.
crash. Your body starts being like, oh, we didn't get pregnant. You yeet everything, and then your hormones go back up during that process and crash again at the beginning of the cycle.
Interesting.
Yes.
Rinse and repeat, and it's a bitch for everyone who has to deal with it.
Yes.
Until menopause.
Even after menopause, for a lot of people.
Oh,
Yes.
really?
Yes. Menopause doesn't necessarily mean the end of the cycle. Like my great grandma, they had to have a specialist come in because they thought someone had sexually assaulted her. She was 98 years old and restarted having periods.
Oh, fuck
Ooh.
that.
And even for not having the periods, a lot of people with menopause still have the hormone side of the cycle happening,
Mm-hmm.
just not the eggs and shedding lightning part.
All right. Now, I do know like a lot of people that are undergoing like that are dealing with menopausal symptoms. They take hormones, right? Like a lot of them.
Yeah.
A lot of
Yes.
people, not a lot of hormones. A lot of people.
Yeah.
A lot of people do use hormone therapies to help stabilize, because when you're that unstable, it creates a whole hell of a lot of problems.
Right. Huh. Well, damn. We've got plenty of time, my love.
I'm so
Didn't
Yeah.
sorry.
That's okay.
last slide, Mister.
Oh, one more slide. Oh, there is. I forgot there was like a cool slide at the end too.
We got a slide of random facts about the menstrual cycle. PMS symptoms, such as mood swings and bloating, are very common and, unless severe, do not necessarily indicate health problems. While the average menstrual cycle is 28 days, length of cycles varies greatly from person to person. This can also vary based on stress, illness, or changes in weight. The first menstrual period is called the menarche. This typically occurs between ages 10 and 16, with the current average being 12.4. On average, menstruating people will experience over 400 cycles in their lifetime. Menopause marks the end of the menstrual cycle. The average age for this to occur is 51. Only an average of 2.7 ounces of blood is actually lost during the average period. Disposable pads first became commercially available around 1880, and modern tampons were patented in 1931 by Dr. Earl Haas.
And they haven't been improved since, have they?
No.
Not really.
So interesting fact with the commercially available pads, they were originally based off of a design that was intended to stop or slow bleeding in wounded soldiers. And it was adapted to all this shit.
Which is kind of interesting because modern day, they've now adopted a tampon type thing for bullet wounds. Like it's kind of going full circle. That's pretty cool.
I see Lav made some comments. No, Lav, unfortunately, you can't get away from the hormone cycle. You can get away from the menstruating part by having your uterus get the uterus.
I would like to uterus my uterus.
So now something that women do face though, if you're not like an approved person, doctors won't just give you a hysterectomy.
That is correct.
Unfortunately,
Some will, but
there are lists out there on the internet that you can find of doctors, at least in the States, who will do it on an informed consent basis. So basically, you have a consultation. They say, this is what's going to happen. Hysterectomy is not reversible. Do you understand this? Sign this paper.
Now, caveat to that, good luck getting insurance to cover those specific doctors. There are some, but not very many insurances that will cover it. I was told by probably 7 or 8 different doctors that was I married and had my husband's approval, it would be a lot less of a battle than me as a single woman wanting to be in charge of my own body.
Well, let it be known that I'm anybody's husband that needs approval.
Well, it has to be legal.
That's
So
fine.
when are we doing this?
I'll marry you and divorce you after.
Cool.
We'll get it annulled like after. Just marry, do the surgery, get it annulled.
Let's do this.
I got this.
And in a kind of interesting little bit of trans misogyny, I could also step into that role, having been assigned male at birth.
Yes, you could.
There you go. Then that would just make everybody uncomfortable, and that's more fun.
You know
So-
what?
So the first period, so like, so the average age is 12 now?
The average age in the United States is 12.4.
That's insane. And most of these young ladies don't know anything about this when they start. I mean,
That's because most people related to like schools and this kind of education go, "Ooh, I'm a gross old white man. Periods are icky."
pretty much.
I mean, they are a little icky.
I mean, they are icky, but they're natural.
There's something
They're
you really need to know about and
they're
raise.
messy and uncomfortable. They're not gross. They're just a thing your body does.
And as far as like in schools go, that is one of the things that has bothered me a lot. Like not even just humans, every living being that owns a uterus will more than likely menstruate at some point.
Hmm?
It is not vulgar.
Yeah.
It's not. It should be educated. It's just, it's fascinating how little that's discussed as such a natural thing. I mean, you can't help it.
A lot of information related to specifically to women's reproductive health has been considered taboo for a very long time.
Mhm. For sure. I have seen like some schools and stuff like. Well, let's forget what the fuck happened there.
Oh, no.
It glitched the fuck out for a second. All right, back to it. Don't know what went there. It's done that a couple times before. Probably gonna end up on. No, I'm probably gonna end up on StreamYard again because Streamlabs is still glitchy and crazy.
Just like OBS.
But
Well,
I will.
it requires a computer that can do it.
Promise to do my presentation tomorrow. Nobody has to show up for it. It'll be streaming.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I'll just pop you up and let you do your thing.
Mm-hmm.
It'll be fun.
Mm-hmm.
I'm excited for it.
Technical difficulties, Rebecca. Sorry.
Yeah, I don't know what the fuck. Like this thing does it all the time, but OBS requires a decent computer, and mine was like $120 at Goodwill. So
Yeah. I get that.
so
Moving
we'll get
forward.
there. We'll get there. So there was something else. Oh, but what I was saying was like, so schools have, some schools in more progressive states, obviously, have started to give out tampons and pads and have a place where kids can go get that stuff. And that's fucking great. I mean, to me, that's one of those, if I can go to the health department and get condoms, shouldn't I be able to go to the health department and get pads and tampons?
Now, the schools here, you actually have to have parental consent for them to give anything to a child. Like, I had to sign a form in my kids' before school stuff that allows them to be able to give them to them. Wow, that was I hope you
Yeah, but
understood that.
you also live in DeSantis's nightmare, so like
Right. Now, I remember as a kid, like, we had to have a form signed for, like, Tylenol and stuff like that. But
Now they're not even allowed to do that without a prescription at the schools here.
They're fucking crazy. Can we just Bugs Bunny that whole fucking state, cut it off, and be done with it? You get out of there first, obviously.
Yeah.
Periods are yucky.
Periods they're rough. Like, they are rough to watch sometimes. Like, I feel, because they look painful as
I'm
fuck.
so grateful for the day and age that we live in with things and advancements that we have, medicines take. I do hope that parents will do better at teaching their children what's going to happen to their body before it happens.
Right.
Unfortunately, until a lot of this is destigmatized, there are going to be a lot of parents that don't teach their children. It
Shouldn't be stigmatized. It happens to, I mean, I guess not everybody, but it affects everybody.
Everybody poops, It's one of those things. I mean, it's something you're going to experience at some point in your life.
Mhm.
I read a story on Reddit 2 days ago where this girl was like, I broke up with my boyfriend because he wouldn't go buy me tampons. Good.
Yeah, good.
Good.
Get a better boyfriend.
Like, I call it, she's like, I need them. Okay, cool. If nobody has, but if somebody wants to make a remark about it, I sure as fuck will have something funnier to say, I promise.
Oh no, I have the confidence to go buy products for my partner.
Right.
Muh.
Wow, terrible.
guarantee the ones that are more comfortable get laid more. Just
I
saying.
guarantee it. I'm going to call you one day. I'm going to go out there, and I know they have large, regular. I'm going to ask you if you want if you need the left or right. I do believe that would be fun to watch, just to watch people go, what the fuck? It's for your left or right vagina.
Which one's bleeding this week?
Right. And can I just say, I don't know, I want to research it now, but
I have to get ready for my shower.
yeah, you can go get ready for your shower. I need a shower too. I need to sleep.
Yeah, you do.
I know, right? You probably do smell me. I'm telling you, it's been a rough couple days.
So
I've been living a
hot
hobo
here.
life. Let me sum up my past few days. All right. So I went back to work Thursday. Worked until got home about 2:00. She's got to get up at 4, so no point in going to bed. I lay there. Time to get up. I might doze off right before she wakes up. She wakes me back up about 4:30. I'm usually in whatever I had on the night before because I come home tired. Don't want to, I get up, take her to work. I can't come home because if I come home, I was telling you this yesterday, right? If I come home, I'm going to go to sleep and I'm not waking up. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, the house can fall down around me and I'm not going to wake up. So I'm sitting in this hot ass car all day. I don't have to, but I'm not going to sit at her job. So I sit in this hot ass car all day, fucking off on my phone. Occasionally go drive around to get some AC. Pick her up from work, take her back home, and then go to work. Rinse and repeat for like the past 4 days.
And fucking repeat.
But no rinsing. It's been a rough few days. So a shower is going to be very nice. I apologize to any of my coworkers that have had to be next to me. I have at least been responsible enough to take a whore bath and deodorize. So, hit the airplane bath under the wings, hit the cockpit, and roll on.
We'll talk about proper hygiene with puberty tomorrow.
Absolutely. So yeah, her thing's gonna be cool. She's talking about so what she's got coming up is this: the physical and emotional changes in puberty. And I could say she has definitely outshone me. Like, I did my research and all, but I didn't prepare my shit. And like she's got fucking phenomenal slides. It's ridiculous. You're about to be like the person.
I don't have any slides for the topic I was assigned for this week.
That's okay. Yeah, that's okay. And it was initially like we were going to do the individual presentations. And yours, I was like, you know what? You know your thing.
Yeah, like the problem is that my advice when it comes to gender identity and expression, which was the topic I was assigned, is you do you. There is no correct gender identity or expression. Figure out what what you want to be, find somewhere safe to experiment, and then once you have your answer, be yourself, and if people don't like it, fuck them,
Right.
or don't fuck them, up to you.
Hopefully,
If you do use a condom
that's right.
or
Birth controls,
shit.
IUDs for the win. I had a friend of
Yeah.
mine text me the other day, asking me. He was like concerned as fuck.
IUD's not for the win. Fuck that shit.
Okay, what?
No, what's the other thing called? It
IUDs?
sounds like it should be from the dentist office.
A dental dam?
Yeah, those things.
Think if I went to a dentist office,
Fuck.
I should go to a dentist office and ask them if they have dental dams. I think I will. That should be my next TikTok video.
Oh dear.
Oh, but a friend of mine asked me the other day. You know, I mean, like, so IUDs do suck. They're probably the most painful thing that I've from what I've been like watching videos on, reading on, stuff like that. Women say they are the absolute worst pain they have ever felt in their life. There's no kind of, most of these doctors aren't using kind of any anesthetic and stuff like that. We'll dive deeper into that next week, but like that sucks. But it is effective if it works for you and not like projected.
If they are correctly placed and your body doesn't go, what the fuck is this shit?
Mhm.
They can be very effective.
And also, if your partner is endowed in a way that doesn't conflict with where they're located.
Yeah.
Yes, you can stab the head of your dick with the IUD.
Mm-hmm. Because some of them have a little bit of copper that stick off of them.
And it hurts like a bitch every time.
And it is also entirely possible for an IUD to, like the string part of it, to get snagged and rip it out.
Mhm.
Okay, so I've conquered enough sex ed tonight, you guys. I love y'all. Oh my goodness, this hurts.
Oh.
That hurts.
Oh, and
So this is what we're talking about next week, though.
so
Is birth control?
next week
It'll be
is STI testing,
Mm-hmm.
birth control, and protection.
Okay. Yeah,
So.
we kind of gave a little
Yeah,
teaser to all of that, didn't we? Just
which
now?
is fantastic because Charlotte Pride is this week. We're going, so anybody watching this later, come get your spankings. But there are a lot of places there that are doing a lot of information. So I plan on getting myself tested for HIV, showing how that process works, talking to a couple people out there, you know, showing people how easy it really is. And hopefully we'll have some material that I'll have up, and then it'll be up, you know, and maybe get some people to come listen and talk. I'm going to be giving out flyers for all this stuff. So hopefully we'll have a turnout of some kind next week.
7 Ps.
Proper prior planning prevents piss poor performance. Oh, and the word of the day is communication.
Wow. But
I'm actually impressed we managed to make it 90 minutes, and I'm so
a little
sorry, Ray.
disappointed.
Go ahead.
Just saying, I priorly planned and prepped, and I still fucked off.
That's what I like about Munch,
It's okay. I think for something as like that, we should have dress rehearsals.
I'm down. If anybody's available, like next Sunday, and want to do like a little run through,
Because Munch is
Yeah.
definitely us.
or maybe
all
we
really
could get
learning
together at 9. If anybody's available, just kind of a quick run through. Alice, you just fall in place. I mean, you're the fact checker. Love it. Alice is the checker. I'm good with it. Checks me, checks the facts. It's all good. Checks
and balances.
That's right. Checks and balances. We run better than the fucking government does.
Oof.
But Ray
Hey,
froze up.
Froze. You
I don't know if
froze.
she's up there.
You're beautiful. Hi.
I mean,
So we looking at messages.
so yeah. So hopefully we will have a bit of a crowd next week. I think, you know, like I had planned on the individual presentations. I think the panel style still works. We're still able to discuss things and stuff like that. Yeah. So I mean,
I don't think that the individual presentations were necessarily a good idea, because
Right.
like some of these things we can talk about for an hour, like anatomy, and then some of these things like that was the whole thing on gender expression identity was like 30 seconds. And I could not find a way to stretch that into 15 minutes like I was assigned.
Yeah, because you pretty much killed it. Like 30 seconds was like, you do you. There you go. That's how you know how to do gender identity and express yourself. Do what makes you happy. Oh, well,
But that was what Munch is us learning how to be better
people.
talkers.
I learned shit today, which is always nice. I learned that the prostate is not in the ball sack.
I'm gonna kick you in your prostate.
Well, Brendan's having a good time.
That's right. I learned about speed limits.
Oh God.
Oh, yes. I got to be able to squeeze my inappropriate jokes in somewhere. God, if I don't have at least one what the fuck comment a day, like an hour maybe. Oh, fuck. Good times, though.
We really
Anybody got
appreciate-
closing thoughts? You got any closing thoughts on
I
anatomies
was
and stuff?
just gonna say that I really appreciate everybody being here and our amazing conversations we always have.
Absolutely.
That's all.
Learn your anatomy and not just your own. Whatever person you're attracted to, whether they are a man, woman, non-binary, penis, vagina, combination of both,
Or neither.
or neither. Learn about them. And hopefully they have the respect for you to learn about your body. Because that's how successful sexual relationships happen, is you learn and understand each other. That's all I got. Alice, Ray?
Learning about your body and other people's bodies and the possible configurations isn't just for good sex. Like, you might have someone that's close to you who's having like legitimate health condition, and if they don't know their anatomy, you could, in theory, help them understand things better, or help them understand what their doctors are saying to them. Or I don't know, sometimes it's just easy to make good jokes about body anatomy if you know what's down there to joke about.
Right.
So my closing thoughts in typical me style, I'm going to bring it back to parenting. A lot of how most of this can be destigmatized is by teaching it to our children. There is absolutely nothing vulgar about a child knowing the correct names for their anatomy. It should not be looked down on for their own health at that point, when it's not even time for it to be sexually related. It's a lot easier for, we'll say, a little boy to tell a medical professional what's going on. If they're just saying, like, it hurts down there, what does that mean? If they can tell you specifically, the end of my penis hurts, the doctors know where to look. So teach your kids.
Absolutely.
Love it. Very good.
100%. All right. Well, we'll see.
Alice?
We'll see you tomorrow.
Alice?
Yeah?
Did you already go? Oh, you already went. I'm sorry. Sweet
Yeah.
dreams. That's all. Sweet dreams.
Well,
Thought I was in trouble there for a second.
we'll see you tomorrow.
Okay, bye.
We'll have an extended version of
Yes.
this thing. If any of you all want to show up, cool. If not, if you got shit to do your shit. Yeah, so, and we'll see the main topics of next week.
Sounds good.
Good night, everybody.
Okay, bye.
I get to
Bye,
go
y'all.
to sleep. I'm so excited.